Welcome back to JCR Garage, and this time we're doing a request, essentially. Wait, is the window? Yes, it is. Back window when the Aspen's open. But this, I got a request to do a video on this. This thing is a Norwegian moped. Kind of a scooter, kind of a small motorbike, 50cc kind of deal. These were made in Norway from the 50s up until the last one. One of those, just a different color, and well, actually that is pretty much the last one built in Norway. The model after that, well, same model, but the years after that was built in Portugal. But back to this, which is the oldest one we have. This one is freshly restored a few years ago, and was restored on order, but it was never bought or purchased or picked up. This is, as you can see on on the tank, it's a Tempo. These are the model called Corvette. Yes, just like the Chevy Corvette spells Corvette, it is a Corvette. And like I said, these had a 50cc engine. This one in particular has a 3-speed hand shifter on up here, but the Corvette also came in 4-speed foot pedal up and down shifters. This model in particular is called the 240, much like that one. 240, then they had the 280, the 290. All of these were hand shifted up on that, and then they had the 300, which, oh yeah, there's a white one inside the shop. Then they had the 310 and 320 Sport, which were just the same thing, only tank stuck out more like that towards the seat. Then they made the 390, which is one of those, only hand speed or hand shifter. That is a 380 with a 4-speed foot. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a thunderstorm coming. But yeah, the 380, this one belongs to my cousin. I just fixed the engine in it, new chain, sprockets, key, fixed the lock up there, new clutch handle, and just a few small things because he's bought it. And this one from it was new, and this is an 80 something, 3 or 4. It has gone 5,024 kilometers. That's not a lot. Now, these were the Corvettes. I have one of these. Mine's a 72 with a big motorcycle headlight. This one, like I said, is an 80 something. This, like I said, the Corvette 240. These were, well, the mopeds like these, they were produced to be small and affordable transport for the masses after World War II, because, Europe was in a bind. There's a reason there was the Marshall help, where pretty much every nation in Europe got money from the US to rebuild their countries. Now, like I said, the one out there was a 240. The one in here is a 290. This one's just stacked in here. This is what I used just after I got my license. It's my dad's. It has been in this, this isn't a town. It's a tiny little village, maybe. It's a tiny little place in the middle of nowhere. This one has been in this place at some farm or another since it was new. It's a 1968 290. And my dad found it in a barn somewhere close to 20 years ago. Well, between 15 and 20 years ago. He found it in a barn, and that is just down the road here, and bought it and restored it, and well, now it sits in here. This is where we store all of them pretty much at winter, so they don't get snowed down or destroyed by the weather. And like I said, that's the 290, this is the 240, that is the 380. Now, top speed of these, varies a lot. The engine is a German SOX engine. It's a MLK 50-3 or 4, because the -4 is how many gears it has. That one is also a Tempo. This is a 1956 Handy. Yes, Handy. Handy. It's one of those that you pedal yourself to death before it actually wants to go up a hill. It has, was it 1 point something horsepower? 50 cc, almost no power, 2-speed up on the hand. You just turn the handle around to whatever speed you want it at. And also, this particular one was bought by my grandmother's cousin back in 1956. Him and his brother bought 2 matching ones. And it ended up with my dad and one of his friends when they were kids, which meant it was destroyed completely, parts everywhere. Frame found behind the other guy's chicken shed, or pen, or whatever, back there, and then we ended up restoring it. And the first thing my dad did was to take it to my grandmother's cousin when he was visiting in his old house. Well, yeah, back at the old farm where he grew up. And that is one of those that are really getting rare to find, and they're getting expensive, as well as the Corvettes actually, that are getting really expensive, especially the old like teardrop tank ones. These are more squared off ones. These are a lot more regular. You can still see kids ride around on these. Nice thing about these actually is the Norwegian government didn't give you that rule that you have to go 45 kilometers an hour on a moped. Damn, that thunderstorm is getting close. And I still have to fix mine. Well, these some can do 60 kilometers an hour. But now the speed limit on mopeds is 45, so you can't drive faster than 45, but these can. Theoretically, just not practically. Of course, this Suzuki Gsx 750 that kind of never runs. Actually, this one belongs to the father of the one who owns that one and the blue 240. Now, this one came from the next town further south here. Town. Tiny little place, village. You can see how I live. Yeah. This one came from there. This is a Panther. Well, Panther. There's no H in there. Also Tempo, just like the Corvettes and the Handy. This one is also 50cc, 4-speed. Usually these tended to go a little bit faster than the Corvettes did, and they were a little bit more expensive. But you could get these with the engine from what they call the Fighter. I think that one was well over 50cc. It was close to 100 or 125. And that and this little thing goes really good. Now, they also made on the Corvette square chassis kind of thing, they made the Sapphire, well, SAFIR. They made that one with one of these engines, which means the chains on the other side from the Corvette, and in that frame you can fit the Fighter engine. And that one, I ran along next one, and that really went fast. Random cat. And this one, I was told, get it running, because just needed to run around and herd sheep. But the guy that has it had opened it at once before because it stopped pulling. And when I took that cover off, the clutches came falling out. This one was just hanging around this bar, and he said that might be from a tractor. He didn't think it was from this, but I think that's what's supposed to retain the clutch inside there. But there is also nothing connecting the crank to that, so who knows? How am I going to get this thing running for cheap? I already bought a Kickstarter and shifter for it because those were gone. So am I going to have to end up buy this? I don't mind that. But then we go to mine. Mine is a more custom one. Well, if you've watched this channel enough, you know me. This one is supposed to be pretty much like that one. except that's the 71, that's the 72, that one's my brother's. He owns the, what has he called his channel now? He has a channel, used to be Classic Car Vlogs, and I'll just put the link here somewhere on the screen. Used to be Classic Car Vlogs, back when he drove the Falcon. He changed the name to something, and I don't remember. Anyway, this one is mine. It is supposed to be black, with cream-colored fenders like that one has. I painted mine red with white stripes wherever there were supposed to be white stripes, around the tank and around on the chain guard. Silver fenders. I also took one of the old broken Corvette badges and I hacked the OR off of it because it was missing the C, and I just made it spell vet and I painted it black because this one is a custom one. This is the exhaust for it. It is not supposed to have that one that I'm covering. It's just supposed to be that one tube runs along this side, and I found another one and I hacked the exhaust up so I could get two, one on each side. Found an old frame that's actually in here, my old frame that I used to have on this one, and took the exhaust hanger off it, flipped it upside down, put it on this side so I have exhaust on both sides. However, the retainer nut for the exhaust didn't really like that, so it fell off. Now, there's a club for these. This one, you can see, is called the Olympic, which is, funny story, the factory for these were furthest down in Norway, pretty much down at the south coast, almost at the end. And these were sold all over Norway, which means they sent them in boxes, bits and pieces, to various sports dealers, like sports stores, sporting goods stores, where they assembled them and got their own brands on them. So this one was built in Trondheim. That's why it's called the Olympic. This one is called the Trygg, Trygg, which pretty much translates to safe. Built in Lillehammer. Now, if you've seen the Van Sant TV show, he played in a show called Lillehammer about witness protection in Lillehammer in Norway. But yeah, fun trivia. These two were restored at the same time, along with the one that's over there. That one is not a moped, although it looks exactly like a Corvette with a long seat. That one is a Comet 600. That is also 50cc light motorcycle. Pretty much the same kit, engine kit that I have on mine, and that one has on that one. Now, so, because me and my father, that one's my father's, we had these running pretty good all the time. But my brother got his license for moped 3 years ago, and, well, that's not really the good idea to put a 16-year-old, I know Americans put 16-year-olds in cars, we put them on mopeds, going 80 kilometers an hour on brakes that are so tiny they fit inside those drums, and they're not much wider than that. That's not a good idea, so we decided we waited until he got his car license, and then we made it go faster. But I'm working on mine now, because there is a meetup every year that we attend. It's the oldest meetup for tempo, mopeds, motorcycles, two-stroke thingies, and last year we had quite a bit of a drive. I'll see if I can add a map in here from where we have the meetup up until Røros, which is an old miner village, kind of miner town village up in the mountains somewhere. We went there. It's well over an hour with a car, and when you're driving in a convoy with 50cc mopeds that don't run faster than 40 or 50 uphill with 40, 50, 60-year-old men weighing well over 100 kilos, it's not going to go fast. But pretty much me and my dad led the way, because we know the road. We are from up here. A lot of the other guys are from Oslo, down there far away, so they don't really know the road in and out like we do. So we led the way. I got maybe about 1 kilometer before my kick fell off. Then there was eventless miles before my exhaust fell off, and I was running just that bit, which was so noisy that, well, my head vibrated for the next day. Thunderstorm is getting closer. And the foot pegs that you rest your feet on, those almost fell off. I was on the way back down, I was keeping the kick in with my chin. My calf, I mean, not my chin, my calf. The shifter with the side of my foot. Also, the other foot was pressing down on the foot pegs to keep those in place, because that jammed the bolt that was on its way out. I had no exhaust, because that all fell off. And after about half an hour, 45 minutes driving, my clutch cable snapped, so I didn't have a clutch. That was really, well, irritating and difficult. Now, I have talked a little bit about my bad luck in the past, and I've had a lot of injuries. Most recently, I was hacking the exhaust off of a Chevy van with a 305 in it. I had just the end of the tube left, the exhaust tube pipe. Just the little thickness that is the pipe. And then the disc, the death wheel, decided to shatter and cut my hand up, just above my wrist there. Ended up getting stitches, was in a cast for 1.5 months. That was last summer. Also, back when I was 14 or something, I was working down on the field, down there with the old, really old, it was 1952 Ferguson TEA 20 or something, or TE 20. And I was loading lumber onto an old caravan, well, sort of camper chassis, same as a trailer, pretty much. And stacked them a bit too high. One of them came rolling off. I heard the noise, turned around, and just as I turned around, a log about 2 feet wide came and hit me right over my pelvis here. Shattered my pelvis in 2 places, and crutches for the rest of that summer. Year after, I was at school, and someone decided to flip the hammock I was in upside down, and that shattered my tailbone. So, with a broken pelvis and a broken tailbone, you can imagine riding on that saddle for well over an hour. It's gonna hurt. And then it started raining, and it got cold. And I have driven this one before in March, which led to my fingers, well, completely freezing. They were literally third degree frostbite on 8 out of 10 fingers, which you can imagine raining, driving 60, 70, 80 kilometers an hour. That is gonna kick in some nerves to go, we're freezing again. So when I got back to the meat place, this lasts for the entire weekend, and the tiny little clubhouse, they call it, it was built back in 1700 something, and the fireplace in there is built with stone and cow shit. So you can imagine it's not really a good place to get dry or warm up until you really get a fire going in that fireplace. So I was in there dragging my left foot after me because, well, that was pretty much immovable. And my fingers were, well, starting to thaw, so they're getting better. And, yeah, last year was a big shambles. But like I said, enough with the 380s and my stories. That is a motorcycle, a 175, tempo. I don't remember what that was. Is this Typhon? Or is it a Swing? I think it's a Swing. SWING, 175cc motorcycle. Doesn't go that fast. This one, I think it's a 290. Actually, the guy who owns the white 240 out here had that one and sent it up here so we could assemble it again because he got it in bits and pieces, and my dad ended up buying it from him because, well, we don't have enough. This is my old frame. My dad was thinking of making a custom thing out of this one. Just the tank that came off of my brother's old, well, my brother's old tank, because his was in a fire, so it's really easy to recognize it because all this is burnt. That is my old frame, which means it's another 380. That one is either a 300 or 290. This one, I think it's a 290 frame, a couple of tanks, front suspension, rear swing arm, fenders, engine. That one is actually the engine for the one behind the sheet metal there, and this is, yes, it's a 300 engine because it's a foot operated gear. You can see down there the pegs poking out for the pedal. More fenders. This one is off of a Comfort or Swing moped 50cc. Swing. They made Swing mopeds, and they also made Swing motorcycles. More parts: swing arms, chain guards, steering bits, exhaust tubes, a lot of stuff. Another 380 frame. This is the white 300 I was talking about. This one's 1962. It has a swing, swing arm, front suspension. These, when the bushings for the shocks get worn out, are awful on gravel. This one is all original, except you know that little cover there is black. The rest of this is all original, never been tampered with, was in a barn for years because the last owner died. And it was just shoved in the barn and it was there. So we bought it. Yeah, like I said in the start of this video, the blue 380 out here belongs to my cousin, and he just sent me a text and wondered if we could fix it, because a few years ago he had another one just like it, and back then he knew that we had a ton of parts, and we still do. That is what this thing is for. Parts. Here we have emblems, light bulbs, fuel hose, taps for the tank. There's a glass here for a 290 rear taillight. All of these parts are either NOS or brand new. Cables, clutch, throttle, gear, front brake, hoses for the wheels, well, tubes, inner tubes. Seat cover for both a Tempo and a Puck. Puck is more of a, was it from Austria? I don't quite remember. These are gaskets, seals, everything you need to rebuild an engine, pretty much. Then there is injectors, plug caps, coil points, bearings, piston rings, carburetor, and a speedometer I see in there. Also the horn button, brand new ones. More bearings, handles, those are probably pistons, I think. Yeah, basically everything you need to rebuild one is in here. Spark plugs, brand new spark plugs. And like I was talking about, I forgot this when I passed it. This is the 175 engine. Yes, it's missing a cover here. This is the 175 engine. You can see the cylinder is a lot bigger. And yeah, this is, all the engines on these are SOX. They are German engines. None of those are built in Norway at all. Just the moped itself and then the German engine. But I can see that this video is getting really long by me rambling on about old mopeds and motorcycles that pretty much no one outside of Norway. They were sold in Sweden as the DBS instead of the Tempo, and they got some of them in Iceland. And the thunderstorm is getting closer, so good thing I pushed my moped in before I did this video. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you with all this. A lot of information to soak in and listen to, but if you just turn it on the background and leave, you can just listen to it instead of watch everything. Yeah, that is the story on the Tempos that are around here. Tempos, the mopeds. and motorcycles and the Suzuki. The thunderstorm is getting real close, so like I said, I'm really happy to push this inside now so I can fix it, because there's less than a month until the meetup is. So I gotta fix this thing now, make sure it runs, and Loctite pretty much everything so it doesn't fall off again. I'm getting quite used to things falling off. I lost the bolt for one of the rear shocks once. That was not a nice ride. But with that, I thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. This video was very long, and I apologize for it. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.